No blast from the past. Take it back. Vitali Klitschko, Lennox Lewis, Fight Critic. What was your thoughts about that fight, man?
It was Vitali's coming out party. I mean, it was a fight that nobody really expected, and it was a fight that Vitali took on short notice. And Lennox Lewis, you know, he didn't look like he was taking the fight relatively serious. And for the first time, he was fighting a guy who looked just as strong as him, and maybe was a little bit more athletic than him, or that he thought could be athletic. And he kind of felt like if he could make it a dirty fight where he can sort of fight on the inside, he was going to be able to, you know, be able to land big shots. And he was able to do so, but he didn't realize that Vitali was just as strong as he was. And ultimately, the fight ended up getting stopped because of the cuts that happened around Vitali's eyes. But it was a fight where Lewis was losing on all three judges' scorecards. Like, it wasn't a fight in which, even though it was still close, like, a lot of people had Klitschko ahead by, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 points.
Yes, and I also think that with that fight, Vitali Klitschko against Lewis, I think Lewis came into the fight thinking, all right, well, this dude has quit against Chris Bird. He's a stiff. Because this is back when, you know, we thought all the guys from overseas heavyweights were stiffs. So I thought Lennox thought it was going to be an easy night. I actually remember watching this fight, man. I was in college, and I remember watching it with some teammates. And we were watching the fight, and we noticed that Lennox came in way overweight from the Tyson fight.
Yeah.
And I thought that he was just enjoying the Tyson win. He was going to come in, give this Vitali Klitschko dude, the older brother of Vladimir, give him a 2-piece and get him up out of there. And it didn't happen. Like you said, he was just as strong. He was just as athletic, if not more. On that night, he was more athletic because Lewis came in out of shape.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think Lewis knew what he was really getting himself into. And like you alluded to when we were talking earlier, it was Vitali's coming out party, man. And this was his second chance. He was willing to get his face ripped off to win this fight.
He didn't want the fight to stop. Like, he wanted to keep going.
And
he had like, I think he had 2 cuts above his eye, and then he had another 2 to 3 under the eye.
Yep. And for all of you, man, that were talking about the Collazo and Thurman fight, oh, the ref stopped the fight, he didn't want to fight. No, go back and watch Vitali Klitschko. That's how you protest not wanting the fight to get stopped. You get up and raise hell. You push. No, don't stop the fight. That's how you do it. You don't sit there and look around and say, well, it's up to y'all. That's how Collazo should have handled the situation. But back to that, Vitali brung the pain that night, man. When Lennox would hit, Vitali was right back on him, hitting him back. He was out jabbing him. He was matching him jab for jab. It just came down to just Lennox was not in shape. But even if he was in shape, I still think it would have been that type of fight.
Yeah, I think it would have been a little bit closer considering if he would have been in shape, he would have had a little bit more stamina on him. But I just think stylistically, the matchup was not good for Lennox Lewis at all. Because even with Lewis, he had trouble with guys like Hakeem Rockman. But with Vitali, it was different because Vitali fought like he had the mentality to fight like a smaller dude for a guy his size, but he was able to use his size. So for that, it wasn't a good matchup at all for Lewis, especially considering Lewis usually tries to keep you on the end of his punches, considering he tends to have the height and the reach advantage. But when he fought Klitschko, he was fighting a guy who was bigger than him and could move better than him in the ring at that night. So him trying to keep Klitschko on the end of his punches wasn't just going to work. And guys like Klitschko, like Vitali, who understands like how to fight like a smaller guy and to know when to drop his hands, to know when to go inside. That approach on him isn't gonna work all the time.
Right. And then with Lewis is when he did have the height and reach advantage and he would fight like a big man, cool. But sometime against bigger guys, like when he fought Grant or guys that were his size or a little bit bigger, me personally, I like when Lennox was the smaller guy because he would be more aggressive in attack. Not always, because in the Rockman fight, the second Rockman fight, he was the aggressor. But usually when he fought bigger guys, he would just fight like the small guy. But when he fought Vitali, he was still trying to fight like the big guy. And I'm like, dude, he's bigger than you tonight, man. But he was still trying to fight like, no, I'm the bigger guy. And I think that was his arrogance a little bit, man. And he was underestimating Vitali Klitschko. But let's keep it in that.
Even when Emmanuel Stewart was yelling at him in the corner, he was like, yo, you're losing the fight fighting this way.
Yep. Now let's keep it in that era. Now we know that, you know, Roy Jones beat John Ruiz, aka One Punch Hold,